Hello, guys. I am currently just watching how to start this YouTube channel, and I don't know. It's different for me to talk to a phone. It's and let me tell you a little bit about who I am. My name is Joseph Goodson. Um, I'm married. Been married 4 times. Um, a lot of you are laughing and saying we couldn't get a ride. And I'll tell you, my first wife I married twice. Won't disclose no names, but I married her twice. Had 3 children by her. Was in a bad drug addiction. Well, let's go. Let's just start all the way back to the beginning. I was 2.5 years old. My brother was 6 months old. Or I was 3 years old. My brother was 6 months old. And we were taken away from my mother and my father. And my aunt stood up and she took control of us. And long story short, we didn't get to go back to my mother and my father. Fast forward, I was a problem. I was very hyperactive, very lost because I didn't have my mom and dad. There's a whole story behind that, and maybe one day you'll hear the whole testimony. And yeah, I said testimony. A lot of you will be indifferent about me because I currently do marijuana. I have been smoking marijuana my entire life. I have my medical license that allows me by the state of Arkansas to use medical cannabis. I have PTSD, and that's another part of my story. But anyway, where was I at? And that's another thing. You got. And by the way, if you like content like this, if you want to keep hearing my story, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's see how far this thing goes. Okay. Anyway, so I'm living with my aunt and my uncle, giving them hell, not wanting to be there. A bunch of things went on. During this time, I was molested by my uncle. I was shifted around from family to family member because nobody could control me. And mind you, I wasn't mean or devious or spiteful or anything like that. I didn't cause problems. I was very hyperactive, and my aunt didn't know how to deal with a very hyperactive kid who was also defiant because I caught her in a lie. I think it was a Christmas or a birthday or something, and my mom and dad had called and sent gifts. And, she lied to me and told me that they hadn't been calling, and I heard them on the phone talking to my mom and dad. And then they said that they never sent us any gifts, and I found letters and birthday cards and other things up underneath her bed, hidden from us. And at that point, I took me and my little brother, who was, I think, maybe 5 or 6 at the time, if he was that old. And we ran away. Now, mind you, I was only 7 at the time, or 8, and we had our little bags like Tom and Jerry had, and going down the road, and well, they found us like 4 or 5 hours later in the middle of a field, done eat up all of our snacks, and trying to get back to not knowing where we was going. Anyway, we was headed to Arkansas to find Mom and Daddy, and we were in Alabama. Anyway, so that's when they decided to send me to my other aunt and uncles in Decatur, Alabama, which this eventually led to me being back with my mom and my dad a couple of years later, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. Well, mind you, when I got taken away from them, I immediately shifted into a survival mode because I thought I had to take care of me and my little brother, and I thought that if I could draw the attention from him, he would be all right, and I would take the blunt of the punishment. But regardless, I was trying to be a big brother, and they didn't want me to be a big brother. They didn't want me no part of that family. They wanted me and my brother separated because he could be molded, and I couldn't. Anyway, that also was the beginning of my love for sports. I played soccer and found out I was very good at sports, and it was an easy way to find favor in the eyes of the adults surrounding. Fast forward a little bit, I'm with my aunt and uncle in Decatur, which was also my first real experience with the ministry. I'll get to that later too, which is a very, very important part of my life. I love the Lord Jesus Christ, Yahweh, the God of Jacob, the God of Moses. That's who I serve. That's who I love. His ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. And yeah. Anyway, so I'm with my aunt and uncle in Decatur, and I make a scene where I want to go with my mom and Uncle JT. If by chance, I think you're passed away now, but if he wasn't, I hope you're in heaven watching this. You were a big influence in my life of wanting to do right and wanting to. I always respected you and loved you. Julie, Emily, y'all are my favorite cousins from day one. I love y'all. So anyway, Mom and Dad comes into the picture. Now, a lot of firsts happened on this trip. That we went from Decatur, Alabama, back to Arkansas. A little place called Spring Hill, Arkansas. We stayed here in Arkansas from the time I was 11 until I was 12, 13. And we left Arkansas because my mother went to a party and didn't come home for 3 or 4 days. And when she came in, she was belligerent, drunk, and arguing with my daddy. And she picked up a TV and threw it on him and broke his foot. And he about killed her. They fought all the time. And I remember that I cried because he choked my mama till she almost died. And but I didn't want to stay with my mom because I seen what she'd done to my dad, and I seen how it was true. She was cheating on my dad. My dad worked all the time, hard. He was a bricklayer. And so I said all that to say, I get to Alabama. We stayed with another aunt and uncle down in Gulf Shores, Alabama. And Daddy worked on the prison down there, and I went to school. You know, basically the stuff kids done when they lived on the road, basically, and worked. I had parents that worked out of town and stuff. And so we leave Florida and go to Huntsville or Decatur, because that's where Aunt Gil and Uncle JT was. The people the aunt and uncle that took me when I was 8 until I was 10, and then allowed me to get back with my mom and my dad, which was in Arkansas. Now, if this is boring you, I'm sorry. It's a lead up to where I'm at now, what I'm doing right now, and the plans that I have, and hopefully you guys can help guide me there. If you're just joining us, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps the algorithm. It just helps me keep making more content. And the content that we're getting to is going to be exciting. And it's not going to be like this. It's going to involve some sports and some training and some business. And just basically my life of going from nobody, broke, disabled. I just lost my son. I lost my daughter 3 years ago, coming up on 4 years ago. I lost my son on his birthday. Anyway, and I lost my daughter close to her birthday due to a drug overdose. And my son wrecked on a four-wheeler. And it's still fresh, like it was just 6 weeks ago. And another thing that's kind of pushed me towards doing this is you only live once, and there's a lot of things that I've been through that I believe with the good Lord on my side, there's some young people that I can possibly influence of going a positive direction. And there's some parents out there that I might be able to help not go in some of the ways that I did with my children, because there's a lot of things that I'm great at enforcing rules, but I'm not great at I know what to say, I just don't know how to say it sometimes. Most of the time. I'm a little rough around the edges. I can be arrogant, a little bit cocky, a little bit of a smart ass, but always well-intentioned. But anyway, right now, it is about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, something like that. I'm fixing to get up here in a little bit and go out and hit some golf balls, stretch, and start my day. But let me finish telling you the story and get you up to date here. So I'm in Alabama, in Decatur, the prison being built in Huntsville, or right outside of Huntsville, Limestone. And my dad went to work there. And during that time, there was a junkyard in Madison, Alabama. And him and I went to that junkyard, and we would stay there in the evening times, and he would go to work at the prison during the day. And, during that time, he met a woman, and he left me in the junkyard to go see this woman, and his car broke down. Well, he was gone for a little over a week, maybe 2 weeks. At that time, a small town preacher came by the junkyard, and he asked me if I wanted to go eat pizza and go to Walmart or Kmart. And of course I did. I mean, he pulled up in a nice Lincoln, wanted to take me to get something to eat and buy me some clothes, and take me to church. Well, that was the best and worst day of my life. Again. And you'll see that this just seems like it's just a repetitive cycle that I'm in. And somebody tell me, out there, comment in the section below, but, give me your opinions. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm a big boy. I can take it. I'm 50 years old now. And my feelings don't get hurt quite so much. My wife now, she tells me all the time that I'm heartless. Well, I'm not heartless. I'm just a realist. It is what it is. It ain't what you think, but it might be. Stick around long enough, we can both find out. How about it? Anyway, so the pastor picks me up, and within inside of 2 years, he's done molested me several times. And no, none of the poked me in the butt. And he just liked playing with my thing and sucking on it. And I didn't know how to respond. I didn't know what to do. All I knew was this was my place to live. Other than that, I enjoyed it. It was a new lifestyle for me. Ended up marrying his daughter out of spite, or, excuse me, I love his daughter, and I loved his daughter, my first wife. But truth be known, Terry, if you ever get a hold of this, I'm sorry, but now's the truth. I done it out of spite because of what your dad did to me. And nobody would. He done it to Rick too, and I'm sure he done it to a few others. But that's neither here nor there. He's dead and gone. God rest his soul. I forgave him. It just really fucked up my life, fucked up my way of thinking. It messes with me a lot. Well, at this time I'm 14 years old. They put me in a private school, taking very good care of me. Just every now and then I had to deal with a very big man wanting to play with my Peter or suck on my Peter, and I didn't know that. I didn't know what to do. Anyway, this is probably about all the story I'm going to get to today. So smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, tune in for part 2. Okay, this is part 2 to the story. Hi, if you're just now joining, my name is Joseph Goodson. I'm looking to start a startup business, a couple of them. But the first thing I wanted to do is let everybody know who I am, what I'm doing, what I'm going through, what I do for a living, the things that hopefully YouTube will bring me out of and bring me into. I'm currently a recovering drug addict. I will never be 100% sober because I like to smoke marijuana and it helps with my PTSD. It really just helps me stay mellow. And I like the taste of it. I like marijuana. So anyway, the pastor gives me a place to stay. He's enlisted me. He put me in a school. His middle daughter, which is extremely smart, extremely intelligent, she graduated high school at 15 and a half. And she starts college at 16. Just extremely smart, extremely responsible, should I say. One of those church girls from the late 80s, early 90s with the big bouffant hair and preppy clothes. And she was really, really pretty and just really out of my league and really the perfect way to get back at the guy who was been molesting me for 3-4 years until I turned 16. And I told him, if you ever touch me again, you're going to have a major problem. And he never did. Because I belly suplexed him. I come in off of a crack binge and he just said something that hit me wrong, and I picked his big 360-pound ass up and body slammed him on the ground. And yeah. Well, anyway. But I did graduate from his school. I had made plans to go into the service. I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. And I'll tell you, that did not work because I smoked marijuana. Now, mind you, if they knew then what they know now, I would probably be in the service. I'd probably be dead because I know I would have made it into the SEAL course. But yeah, from what went on during those years, there's no telling. The main thing is I didn't get to stay in. Stayed in for over 90 days after I got discharged, fighting it, trying to get back in, trying to prove to them that I could be a good soldier. And one day the CO came to me and said, "Goodson, what are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm going to make my way back into the service. I want to be a Navy man in the service." He said, "Goodson, you came in under the Ronald Reagan administration, which was the war on drugs, the start of the war on drugs thing, and you weren't going anywhere. Besides that, 1 in 12 people were being tested at the place where you were taking your boot camp, and you were the 12th, or you were one of them, and your chances weren't that good." And you were not going to get back in. This is what he was telling me. And so I go back and I start work. That's where I first got my job doing construction in the trim business with Johnny Grinsberg and Kevin Simpson. I love them guys, and they taught me so much about the trim business. Anyway, so I worked for Kevin 3 or 4 years, and then I go back to laying brick and I lay brick for a while, and then I leave out on my own and go lay in the brick. And well, by this time, me and my wife is not seeing eye to eye, and I get a divorce. Our first divorce. Well, that lasted about 9 months, 8 months, and we get back together, and I remarry her, and trying to make it work. We have another 2 kids, and then after the third child, which is my second daughter, still strung out on crack, still working, and crack was bad. It was a mind fuck. Excuse my language, but it screwed with my mind, and the devil worked in many, many ways against me with crack cocaine. I hate crack cocaine. It's the devil. It's a mind fuck. Anyway, so me and Tara, we get married for the second time, get divorced for the second time. This time I went to rehab in Tennessee, and I met my second wife. I was singing in a choir, and I met a young lady named Nikki, and fell in love, and thought that I found the woman of my dreams. Well, after almost 2 years of being together, I come in from work one day and she's gone. The kids are there with some person that I've never seen, and I find my wife smoking crack because she just wanted to find out what it felt like, and what I was dealing with. I lost it because she knew how important it was for me to stay sober and how important it was for me to stay away from that. And she knew all this, but she went and done it. Well, from that point to about 2.5, 3 years later, and 2 kids later, or 3 kids later, I am on the street selling my wife, the mother of my children, because she hit me one night. She said, our drug dealer said he would give us an 8 ball of crack cocaine if I would sleep with him. And I was crushed right there because I could not believe that she asked me that. After I worked hard, hustled hard. We had a very expensive habit. I was putting us in a hotel and feeding us every day, 2 people with about $1,000 a day habit, crack cocaine. And then she looked at me and told me that she wanted to go sleep with this black guy for an 8 ball of crack cocaine. And I told her, I said, Nikki, first of all, I will never tell you what you can and can't do. Second of all, you're my wife, and I love you, and I think it's time to go home. But there again, Nikki, I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't do. She said, okay, baby, I love you. Give me a kiss and turned around and bebop and went and fucked this dude. And she still fucks with it because I was doing everything I could to keep her safe, to keep the drug addiction fed, and to keep us alive. Because we were on the streets of South Carolina. Well, at this point, we was on the streets of Tennessee. We hitchhiked to South Carolina. Anyway, for 1.5 years, almost 2 years, I pimped her out to the Mexicans. There's nothing against you Hispanic brothers. Y'all's wee-wees are small, but y'all's pockets are fat. And at that time, it was fresh. Hispanics were just now coming over and taking over the construction industry. And they had a lot of money, but they wouldn't put it in the bank. They always had it on them. And I'm not proud of it at all. But we took advantage of them people, and we never hurt anybody or just took their money. And Nikki didn't have to have sex with them, but very, very seldom. But she still done it. Well, that ended us up in a hotel room, nowhere to go, no money, no food. And we were at a meeting, an AA meeting. Well, when they found out that I was an NA, they wanted to kick us out, and I went off and said some things and went out the door, and we went on another binge for, I think it was about a month, until in South Carolina, there was a guy running around in the van running over people. And we almost got hit by this person. And I took me and Nikki back to the Blue House and was sitting there, and somebody told me, said, you need to find a place to get you and your wife, and you need to get some help. Well, I knew that, but I didn't know what to do with Nikki because there was no place that I knew about that would take men and women. Well, praise God for Seacoast Ministries, and if just by chance y'all get this, thank y'all, because it was there that started my sobriety from crack cocaine and getting my life back. But we're a long way from that yet. So I go to New York, and Nikki stays in South Carolina. Transformation Life Center. Joel Sheets, I hope you get to see this. I love you, dude. You said the greatest words. It changed my life. It impacted my life. He looked at me. At that time, folks, I was a pretty boy. I had a chip on my shoulder. I was very confident. I had a golden tongue. I could talk anybody out of anything at any time. It just was what I did. Joe Sheets looked at me and he said, Joseph, you're ugly. You're one of God's ugliest children. And that just broke my heart. It broke me up. But I didn't understand. I thought he was talking about physically, and he was talking about spiritually, mentally. My inward man was ugly, which made, you couldn't even look at the outward man because the inner man was so ugly. Well, if you like this content, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps the algorithm, helps me make more content. And we're going to get to the good stuff here in a little while. We're just getting caught up to what made me the person who y'all are seeing today. Okay, so I graduate high school. I get kicked out of the Navy. I marry and have three kids, get married twice and divorced twice from the same woman, meet another woman, going through drug addiction, crack cocaine, marijuana. Self is what it was. I was addicted to self. Very selfish person I was. Still tend to be time to time. It's a very nasty thing to be, selfish. And it's a very hard thing the character to get out of. Anyhow, so married my second wife, went through a drug addiction with her, went through almost 2.5 years of pimping her out on the street, or drug addiction and pimping her out on the street because she screwed a black dealer over an 8 bottle of cocaine, or 8 bottle of crack. And she was my wife at the time. It wasn't my girlfriend, wasn't my wife. And so I go to a place called Transformation Life Center from South Carolina, through a place called Seacoast Ministries. And the program was a 1-year program. And Nikki was staying back at the hotel waiting on the same program to accept her in, but it never happened. Anyway, if you're liking the story, you want to hear the end of the story, tune in for part 3. Don't forget to smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next Let's go. God bless.